Hello, I'm Jonathan Ross from Ross Search Consulting, and welcome to the Digital Transformation Networking Group. Now, big data and the need for effective analytics has had a big impact on transformation programs in recent times. I recently caught up with John Morton, who is a big data analytics and business intelligence expert, to talk about the massive growth in data and how to tackle the issue of effective analytics. Now, John is an ex-UK CTO of the SAS Institute, the business analytics and business intelligence giant. And John also worked for Intel, where he led a number of transformation programs involving business intelligence and also data sensing plus the Internet of Things. So let's see what John has got to say on the subject.
So John, in terms of the discussion today, we talked about the recent exponential growth in data, and we all know, of course, the growth of data has been mind-blowing in recent times. This can represent massive opportunities for companies, but also massive challenges. How do you think companies should actually tackle this issue?
That's a very good question. I think there's a couple of areas that they need to consider. The first one, the most important one, is does all this data actually add value to the business? And try and work out whether the capturing of more information is just more of the same old, and no extra value to what the business is trying to achieve, or how the business can actually monetize that data. A lot of companies get confused about whether they should be storing data and holding data. They don't want to throw it away. It might be useful later. They're waiting on the right uses. However, my view is that if you are capturing the data, there's almost a potential use. It's understanding where that use is. For me, there are three key areas. First of all, can you use that information to create new products, new services? Can you drive efficiency gains within the organisation? Or can you use that information to inhibit your competitors? The need for analytics is becoming more intrinsic to how we want to have our one-to-one engagement and relationship with businesses, with customers, and of course with our employees.
Which brings us neatly on to the next topic that we discussed, which was what is the real big deal with analytics? How does it add real value to businesses?
I think the value is understanding how your business is going to use that information and whether they're going to use that information. And if they're not going to use it, whether it has data equity.
Okay, interesting term.
So it's a term that's been around for about 10 years now, and it's what is the data asset value of the information that you've got? Therefore, can you monetize it and sell that information?
Yeah.
So, getting back to the question though.
Yes.
How do you identify the value? You can't look at it from one business domain only. You need to look at it from a holistic view of, okay, what is the value that this data is driving within the organisation?
Yep.
And you also have to look at it from an outside-in value of, okay, if we didn't have this information, or if we had better information, how could we put our company out of business? So if you look at the Netflixes, the Ubers, the Amazons, one of the things that they have done is they have decoupled, separated the information flows from the asset value that's being delivered. By doing that, they then allow you can run your car and you can pay for your car, and that's your business. It becomes much more of an infrastructure, i.e. small returns but regular returns business. Right. And the information flows is about how we engage with our customers and how we coordinate the delivery of the service.
Right.
That creates a new business model. So some of the large corporates that I've been working with are very interested in whether they can Uberize not the whole business, but perhaps parts of the business, and what then would the new operating models look like? Because the business model hasn't really changed. What's the new operating models, and what are the new information flows that need to be in place to allow those assets to be maximised going forward?
John, recognising that today's digital business, and let's face it, most businesses these days are having to transform to cope with the digital world, that involves blending data, analytics and technology in order to create customer value. So in terms of business transformation, how do companies actually develop a strategy to actually make this happen?
So from my perspective, the strategy, the key part of the strategy is in two areas. One, it's about the cultural and people change, and the second one is in the ways of working. Both need to be integrated. So I look at a programme of change that covers 5 key areas, 2 of which I've just mentioned. The others are around the process changes, and that's about changing business process. The other one's about systems and platforms, and what are the systems platforms going to do. And then the last one is, how do you derive the insights? Now I put that in there because traditionally, traditionally I think still happens quite a lot from my experience.
Right.
It keeps me in work. Is that insight, data warehouse, business intelligence, reporting always comes at the end.
Oh really?
Yeah, we still do quite a lot of, let's get the functional systems in place, we need to be able to do this, and we'll think about all that other stuff later.
Right. So the functional systems, what does that mean? Implementing applications which are then going to...
ERP suites, user experience, and how do you get user engagement.
Yeah.
And the afterthought is, well, how are we going to use the information?
Right.
And that, from my experience, leads to, it's a pity you aren't capturing this information at the front end.
Right, yeah.
And so you end up having to go round the front end systems again to capture and sense the right information so you can get the analysis.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's coped, if that's dealt with at the initial strategy end of the transformation program, then that problem wouldn't occur.
Correct. Yeah. And it's making sure that the closed loop analytics and closed loop analysis is thought for before you start the design.
Ah, right, yes.
Okay. But the other big area is about the cultural change. And that comes down to, how do you help the business start to rethink in a different way? And how do you help individuals? How do you role model for individuals what is the new habits that are required? It can be as simple as every single board meeting, every single meeting, when information is being presented, you ask where that information's come from. You check the provenance of that. You check the accuracy of that. You check how recent that information is.
John, in terms of transformation programs, pulling together all the strands can be a bit of an issue. You know, strands such as the data, the analytics, the BI, the supporting technology, the cloud, the culture change, business process change, all massive amounts of activities there. What are your learnings in terms of pulling all of these strands together to make it all happen and to make it all work?
I think the key one for me is understand where you are certain about things, and understand where you're uncertain. Some people put it under a risk framework. I put it under uncertainty, because if you know what you need to do, you can actually turn that straight into a project and you can move forward. If you do not know how that piece is going to work, then don't do that. A great example is the number of companies who've thought they were certain about, we're going to be creating a data lake and we need this, that and the other, and we're going to put all the data in there. And then they get to now we're going to use the data lake. Well, shouldn't you have done that thinking at the beginning?
Right.
And unfortunately, I've met more than one customer who what has been created for them doesn't serve their purposes.
Really?
Because of the way that it has been structured, the way that the data has been gathered, and also whether the data is complete and accurate enough.
Right.
So those are all around data analytics things, but even in research and development, if you're moving into an area where things are uncertain and people may think, oh, well, that's all very niche. Today, the secure by design guidelines that are coming in as part of privacy by design, the GDPR, require you to think about how some of your development team have been engineering and designing systems.
Right.
And sometimes you need to go back and say, are we certain about all the factors that we need to have in place? So I siphon off all those uncertainties, risks, challenges into a bunch of how do we get certainty out of this, so that I can then make a clear decision about how this is going to work. And then I communicate that. Because in the real world, there are lots of people who have different aspirations about what they're going to be able to do. And sometimes those aspirations aren't at the level of the technology that we're putting in place, but more often the affordability of the technology to put in place.
John, that was fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for your time and input today. That was excellent, and hopefully the viewers will find that very interesting and informative. So thank you all for watching, and look forward to seeing you next time.